Okay, Mulligans and Hackers Golf. This is a special episode podcast. I'm Chris, and we got Alvin and our special guest, Mac from On the Screws Golf.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Not bad. How are you?
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for being our guinea pig.
Yeah, for sure. Happy to help, and let's give it a trial and see how good we can make it sound.
Okay, so you're a new dad, eh?
I am. Yeah, that's what I was saying. He's sitting right beside me. He is about 6 weeks now.
6 weeks.
Yeah,
So pretty new. One?
It is. Yeah. So a little less golf right now. But.
And me and Chris, we're getting to be kind of empty nesters. So now we're getting more golf in.
Yeah, we're going the opposite direction you're going.
Yeah, until this, last year I probably had nearly 100 rounds or right in there about. So a little different this year, but that's okay. Hey, it's golf, right? If you're golfing, that's good. I was out today playing Kawartha. It's a really nice course, so it's kind of nice to be out there. But yeah, like you guys mentioned, the frost delay is it's real in the northern parts of the world right now.
Yeah, we had about an hour and a half today on our course. We got our final round of the season in, and it actually turned out to be a relatively nice day after the frost delay.
Yeah, it was nice with us too. So that's it for you guys. You guys are done now. That's everything, huh?
Yeah, our course is. I think the only course that's staying open here in the Hat is Desert Bloom, and I think they might be staying open for one more week, and then everything will move to online simulators. Yeah,
nice. I just I was at Oshawa in the simulator last weekend, and it's a different beast. They have like the Foresight, really, really nice one, but it's a different world. It's a different world hitting in the simulators for sure. I don't really know it. I could hit like a 3-wood 270 yards. I could hit my driver like about the same. So it was weird. It was kind of.
I did it once last year, and I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
I like to use it just to get numbers on my clubs in the off season, just to kind of see what I'm swinging. I like more the driving range function personally.
Well, that's what we're using. And like, I was hitting a fade on some shots. I haven't hit a fade since ever. So it was kind of unique to hit a fade, but like, if I go out on the course, I've never played a fade ever. I've got like a 5-yard draw, 10-yard draw, but yeah, anyway, that's okay though. It's fun. It's still nice to be swinging the club, right? So it's good.
Yeah. Hopefully you can get a couple of opportunities to swing the clubs over the winter.
Absolutely.
I think so. I think we'll get out, but yeah, is the weather that cold for you guys right now?
It's what, plus 12, plus 14 today. I mean, typically kind of starts cooling off this time of year. Like by the time we get to Halloween here coming up, it's going to get pretty chilly.
It was about 1 degree this morning when at our 9:30 tee time that turned out to be a 10:30 tee time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's it. Like, I don't think we get as cold overnight. And we like I remember last year I probably posted a couple videos of it, but I think I played into middle of December up here.
Wow.
At like some of the smaller like 9-hole courses. You can't be picky. Like any of the nice courses are all closed up, but if you're looking to just get out and play golf, we actually have like a really nice 9-hole course that's in great shape here. And it's only like 10 minutes from me, so they stay open pretty late, and it's all sanded fairways. The greens are in great shape, so it's nice. It's
beautiful.
Yeah, and you can play there as long as they'll put pins in the ground, I'll go, right? So
yeah,
I'm gonna be like, you see it all over like Zyre Golf and stuff. I'm gonna be that guy kind of pushing this guy in a stroller, and I'll be walking with the backpack. You know, that'll
get him going early.
Yeah, my wife golfs too. We golf at least once a week together, so it's kind of nice. We just by next year we'll be able to kind of bring them out and push them around with us and stuff. I'm sure. I know some courses are a little interesting about that, but otherwise, I don't know. Why not, right? If you can cover them up, make sure you say
be fine with that.
Yeah, I know that there was one close by, and they said something about it, like when we were joking at like one of the tee blocks. And then I brought a friend of mine who golfs with me a little bit. We brought his little girl. She's like 4-5 years old, and yeah, they like charged her to come out. They wanted to charge her to come out and play. So it was just interesting. It's kind of interesting. They're like, she can't play. She's 5 years old. Like she can't do anything. So, but yeah, how are things going with you guys with the pod? How's everything going?
Pretty good. I mean, we got nine episodes done for our first season. I thought our season went pretty well, right, Alvin?
Yeah, I thought it was great for an inaugural season, and we really didn't know what we were doing. I thought it went well.
It's true. Kind of learning on the fly. I mean, we started up a YouTube page and kind of got that rolling now. We added a little bit of content there earlier today on a little bit of what's in your bag for Alvin and I. You can check that out. We
Nice.
put up a couple preview trailers on our Facebook and Instagram page to kind of send everybody over to the YouTube page. Check them out.
Like it.
And I mean, yeah, it's been an interesting season. I mean, when we started with this idea, we really didn't know where we were going to go. We just knew that we wanted to get some guys together and play some golf and see what happens. And
so what's how many do you guys have in your group total? 8?
I think upwards of 10.
Max, we had a dozen, I think.
Okay. Nice.
But
That's cool.
I think probably about three or four only came out like once throughout the entire season. But when we did our road trips, we had 8, 6, 10 come on the road with us when we went out of town.
Yeah.
So that was fun. I mean, you get a little bit of a caravan going and you hit roll up on a golf course with 6 to 10 guys, and it's a lot of fun.
Oh, for sure. No doubt that would be. And it would just be, I don't know, cool experience too, right? And I don't know if it's much different out there with like the courses and whatnot. Like here, they can be a little bit, just depends on what course you go to. It can be a bit tough to get a tee time, let alone, for 10 guys to get out there and play all at one time. But as long as you can plan it, put a little bit of effort into it before, it would work out okay. And how's the YouTube page for you guys? You guys are just starting up YouTube?
Just started it. We put up our 9 podcasts on there with no video, just audio, just to get it going. And now over the winter we'll start posting some stuff, getting that going. I mean, it's just another social media page, right?
Yeah, well, it's kind of cool. Like I've been doing the podcast a year now. Actually, I think last week was 48. So coming up on a year now, which in the podcast world is a long time. I don't know how long you guys have been doing it, but it's kind of neat. It's kind of neat to reconnect with a few people. And I found, like, I just got a new software recently, like I was telling you guys, and it's been great. Like, it's been really, really good. But YouTube was kind of a different animal. It was a little tricky at the start to kind of get everything set up. And with my old software, there was quite a bit of like editing and whatnot. Now it's kind of just a little cut and paste. So it's pretty good. It'll just kind of convert it to audio and video all in one. So it's nice, but it's kind of cool. If you can capture the video aspect, like I've done a couple polls. I don't know if you guys have on your Instagram page. I've done a couple polls, and mind you, you might only get 30, 40 people if you're lucky to answer, but it's been almost straight, like a split. Like usually it's like 60-40 for audio versus visual. So like Spotify, Apple, that kind of thing. I don't know if it really matters, but if you like look into your stats, it's kind of like a lot of mine's Apple Podcasts. I don't know about you guys. I'd say 75% of our downloads are probably through Apple Podcasts. So yeah.
So where did the idea for On the Screws come from?
It actually came with a guy that I was golfing with last year, a buddy of mine. We were just kind of playing around a little bit, and he had said, start up a golf podcast or whatever it may be. He had a young girl at the time, and kind of just we didn't get connected as much. And I was just like, you know what, it's kind of cool, like kind of keeping in touch with people, like meeting you guys, and just kind of through COVID, it was something where with my job, I was able to like see people, meet people every day. I was kind of like I have a handful of staff there that I'm connecting with. And so we were not working from home, but I was only seeing like the same 4 people every day. So it's kind of cool to like connect and meet new people. And of course, talk about golf is sort of easy, right? I could talk about golf forever. So that was the idea. It was just kind of something that sort of spiraled and got in contact with a lot of people, and I've got a lot of friends who play golf, and people have been really great about coming on the podcast. So it almost became like an interview, like an episodic interview based. And I found that a lot of the feedback of having like different companies or brands, players, like we just have this week coming up, we have Sung J M's caddy coming on, fellow Canadian as well.
I was gonna ask you about like your background gets you in contact with a lot of these people?
No, like I'm a terrible golfer. No, I'm not, I don't want to say I'm terrible. I didn't play golf in university. I didn't like go to school to play golf or anything. I'd kind of gotten away from the game a little bit at that time. I sort of like got into like weightlifting and stuff on like a competitive level. And it those two things are like direct opposites when it comes to golf. They don't go well together. So kind of get out of the game and sort of as I had some contacts, courses I played at, like where I've been a member, or my cousin Bryce is a really good golfer, and his my other cousin Blake, the younger one in the family, he is probably like one of the top players in Ontario. So not that they necessarily make all that many connections, but usually just, through social media. Social media is amazing, what you guys have, and just kind of following along and being engaging and connecting and learning and meeting new people. And, whenever I reach out, I explain like the podcast is for, if it's a company, it's for them. If I can, shed a few more, ears or a light on their podcast or sort of their brand or their company, that's the idea of it. Like, and it truly is. It's not, well, it wouldn't be for any other reason. Podcasts don't make any money, as you guys know, right? So it's pretty much just to bring like more awareness to the game, connect as many people as you possibly can. And if you can get some players, caddies, and, companies and stuff, it's great. I found it's just almost spiraled that way. And I think, we've got a decent little following on social media, but I probably connect with like a good 50, 60 people throughout the week, just quick messages saying like, hey, what's up? I know Alvin, you and I talk like multiple times a week. Right. So that's kind of the idea, is just getting to know people. And that's how it's kind of grown from there. I do have some contacts in the golf world, but I have a lot more through the podcast now. Definitely.
But having somebody like Sung J M's caddy coming on your podcast, that's out of this world huge, isn't it? Yeah, like it's definitely cool for us. And his story was amazing. He didn't have a ton of time. He's actually down in Dallas right now, and his son plays hockey, which you guys can understand. And so he had to run to play a game, but we were on for probably half an hour, 40 minutes or so. And just hearing some stories about like, they were at the Olympics, right? It wasn't the outcome they wanted, but 3 weeks ago, they won the Shriners, which is pretty amazing, man. Like, it's obviously, that's a big tournament. And if you're winning on tour, which Sung Jae is, he's one of the best ball strikers on tour. Obviously your caddy's got to be pretty good. Yeah. And, the cool thing about it was like hearing the uniqueness of the language barrier, right? So Sung Jae is Japanese. He has a little bit of, he knows a bit of English. Like the way that Billy explained it was he knows more English than Billy knows Japanese. So, but like hearing how they communicate and how they text and whatnot, like if they're saying, okay, Alvin, like I'm Billy or I'm Mac, I'm your caddy, I'm going to meet you. It'll just be like parking lot, a text that says parking lot, and they'll go meet in the parking lot, and then they'll kind of go through their stuff there. And he has an interpreter and stuff. So it was really cool to kind of get that perspective and how much they have been able to still connect and well, obviously make it work, right? Like that's a pretty good team right there, those two. I don't know if you guys follow a lot of the PGA Tour, but Sung Jae is like, whenever I'm making picks up, man, I'm always. What's that? This past year, like, so when we started playing a little bit of golf last year, like I played more golf last year than I had any previous time before that. Right. I never really played a lot of golf until like I moved to Alberta. But again, I've coached hockey, been in that rigmarole for a long time. And now that the kids are older, last year we played a lot. Me and Chris especially played a lot together. And as we were going on, when COVID hit and everything started to shut down and we were kind of homebound, working home for a while, the idea started to roll in my head that if we got memberships and played a lot, well, we still have a little bit of a competitive edge. So, and our scores are pretty, I mean, we're bogey golfers. Yeah. So we thought we would start a league. And then, we started inviting our friends who would be interested to come and travel with us and stuff. And then the idea for the podcast came just for us to talk about golf, because we're new. We're brand new. So last year we watched PGA a little bit. This year I watched a lot more, and I'm a big fan of the LPGA. Yeah, I really like watching the LPGA. Man, hold on. I just saw a stat like an hour ago that so Jin Young Ko just won this past weekend. One of the best female players in the world. Like, she's unreal. Like, I like the LPGA too. So she hit 46 straight fairways in a row without even, and I guess like when somebody brought up that streak to her, she did not even know. Like,
how robotic is that? Could you imagine
Right.
hitting, I don't know if I could hit 4 fairways in a row, let alone 46 fairways in a row. I thought reading that was kind of, I don't know, it's crazy. But I like that aspect of the LPGA. I find it to be like very different than the PGA itself. Like it's the structure is very different. They're there's a lot less error in golf in the LPGA. And yeah, sure, like you're gonna see things like Jordan Spieth hitting that shot at the Ryder Cup, like up the hill and flopping up in the air. And it might not be, I get that people say it's maybe not as exciting, but like as you develop your games, as you guys can understand, that becomes exciting to watch because you're seeing, athletes do it perfectly. And a lot of times on the LPGA, it is as close to perfect as possible, right? So I like that kind of correlation that they have, like obviously LPGA, PGA Tour, but I like the idea that it's like a different style of game. I enjoy that. I really do. So
I do too. I think it's fabulous.
I mean, it's amazing that we have Brooke Henderson, who's one of the top female golfers in the world, right from our own backyard, right in Canada.
Yeah, she grew up about an hour and a half east of where we are here. So it's kind of nice having probably a top 5 player in the world.
Yeah,
I mean, our flag. It's cool.
Yeah, we always watch where she finishes in the tournaments, right?
Yeah,
because she just lost her sister on the bag, so that was big for her.
Yeah. I think she was T2 last week, right? So she had a good final round, and yeah, Brooke's amazing, and she's one of the longest players on the LPGA. She averages like 278 or something off the tee, which is pretty far, man. She's got that like I like her swing. She's got that like kind of cool old school sort of like John Daly-esque kind of swing, right? She kind of loops it over the top, and she's obviously extremely flexible, but she can like really like arch the, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but you guys know what I mean. She brings the club face all the way over her back, where you see a lot of like the Tony Finau type of swing now where it's only going 3/4 of the way up, and yeah, I like that big looping swing that she has, and obviously it works, right? So I got to read up though. I didn't know that she had lost her sister on the bag. That was a good team.
It was a little while ago because her sister had another job opportunity or something, and
really.
Yeah.
But she was struggling already because with COVID, she'd only be able to have one person, right? And her dad was her coach that would always come around. And then her sister kind of took both caddying and coaching her on at the same time. And then she had to go through a change where after losing her sister, she kind of had to sort some stuff out. I mean, you lose your familiarity. It's tough when you're playing a sport like that, right? I mean, we know that on a much lower scale as amateur golfers, but I mean, I can only imagine as a professional golfer. Like,
I like that, amateur golfers. Do we even rate that high?
Yeah, probably not, but
I know that familiarity, whatever you want to call it, like when we don't go to the course for a few days and then you kind of forget what you're doing maybe, but I don't know. That like last weekend I actually played really well. I played a course out here, Black Bear. It's like a top 20 or 30 in Canada. Really nice. It's long, just over 7,000 yards. And I think it was even after 9. And then there's a 611 yard par 5 or something. And I shot an 8. I was just like, so it was a bit of an interesting back 9, but it punished me. It was cold, but that's kind of the aspect of like being, amateur golfer.
Yeah. Are you still there?
PGA Tour Canada this year, which was really, really cool. And like those guys don't miss at all, ever. And when they do, they are able to kind of get up and down and figure it out, right? So you don't see those numbers from those guys or those females. That's kind of the difference between you and I and those type of players, right? So
there's a big difference.
It's elite. They are very elite. But
what's your handicap, Mac?
3.1 right now. That's low from where I've been. Like I was a lot better golfer like back in high school and stuff like that. You're a little bit more flexible and stuff like that. You hit the ball. I actually probably hit the ball further now than I used to, but I probably play like mid 70s, high 70s right now. So it can get higher, it can get lower. But yeah, that's golf, right? It's just, you never really know. You never know what you're going to shoot. But I find like my game is very much like a straightforward game. It's nothing flashy. This year, I kind of started hitting the ball a lot further off the tee than I have in the past. When I say a lot further, I just mean like I added some yardage that I don't always know how to control, but typically my game is like pretty straightforward, and I have a really good short game, and that's kind of been able to help me out. We go out, it doesn't look flashy, but I make I don't know. I feel like I'm always like in around the green, just making a little pitch on, and then making a 2-footer and taking my par and leaving. Right. So that's kind of like, it's not exciting. Nothing to it really. It's not as fun as I don't know, watching Bryson or something like that. But I try to hit it. I try to hit it as far as I can. Like this year, I had a couple like good pokes, I guess you would say, and not like Ryan Gregnell, one of our past guests, but yeah, a couple good ones out there. 345, 361. I had a couple long ones this year, so it was good. Can't beat those.
I started getting up into the 290s.
Yeah.
With it, if I hit it well, I was starting to get into the 290s, and that's out of this world for the game that I play.
Yeah.
I don't do it all the time, but a few times on our home course there, I probably had 4 or 5 greens that I drove this year.
Nice.
As you play more, right? As you play more, that start and we watched a ton of videos. We did a lot of time at the range, just working stuff out.
Yep.
The short game still needs a lot of work, and that putting thing, that's a different animal altogether.
See, like I've always been a putter. I'm always like, this is the first year I played a different putter in my whole life. So I was going to ask you about what you have in the bag. What are you playing? So we can start with my putter if you guys like, because I always played an Odyssey number 9, like a heel hosel type of putter. So it's like that kind of like blade, like fill looking type putter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was. I played that right up until last year. Absolutely loved it. Can you guys hear the guy going here, the little guy?
No.
Okay.
Really.
All right. So, I think he's just rolling around a little bit. So yeah, I played the Odyssey number 9 right up until last year, and I've always kind of like tinkered with the Scotty Del Mar. Had an option to pick one up this year, and I was pretty specific on the one that I wanted. It's a 2011 special edition honey dip, so it's like kind of like like a honey color, the faces and whatnot. So it's kind of cool, like the actual head of the club. And I use I'm pretty specific on grips. So I use what's called the Baby T grip, which is like, you guys know the Tiger Pingman grip that he uses. Yeah. So it's kind of like that. Like, I like that. I have like a pretty unique one. So anybody watching over on YouTube, I do like a double interlock finger, but I started to work on like the pencil kind of claw a little bit for short putts, and I like that, but I don't really know if I need to change my putting. So, you guys want me to go through the rest of the bag?
Yeah.
So I play up until, like, I've always kind of moved back and forth through wedges. So I have a set of SM7s, 54, 50, 54, 58. Never had a problem getting up and down. Never felt like I needed a 60 degree or anything more. Now I've kind of swapped those out. I wanted to support a Canadian brand, so I'm playing a 48, 52, 56, 60 setup from Haywood Golf. They're out in Vancouver, so I don't know if you guys have ever heard of them. So
we follow them on Instagram.
Yeah, Josh is great. I've had Josh on the pod before. I talk to him pretty regularly. So I picked up some of the wedges, let him know like the shaft that I like. Like, I like to play KBS High Rev 2.0, and they actually have that as they did have that as a stock option. So I've played either the S400 Dynamic Gold S400 or the KBS High Rev 2.0. And like, when I was talking to him, I was like, man, like, that is a great shaft for a stock option. So ordered those, got them in the black finish because I had one already that was given to me by somebody. So the 52, and I really like them. Like, they're great clubs. Like, they're great wedges. The leading edge is a little sharp, but after you play it a little bit, or if you take it in, get it grinded down, like, they're top notch wedges. I like how clean they are. They're just really like simple. They're kind of like a Vokey without any of the stamping, right? So into the wedges, I play a 4 through pitching wedge, or 4 through 9 with the Haywood 58, or I have the pitching wedge as well. Kind of just rotate them in, and they're only 1 degree difference. So you can, I had the Strixon Z785. So they're the 2019 model, I think, of the Strixon irons. And I play the Nippon 120 Modus stiff. So I love that shaft. Like that's a great golf shaft. I don't know if you guys know much about Nippon, but they are like the Nippon Modus are probably about in my opinion, they're some of the best shafts in the game. And I'll rotate the pitching wedge, which is 47 degrees, with the Haywood Golf 48 degree wedge. I don't find much difference between the two, to be honest with you. Maybe like a handful of degrees. And on those, I play Golf Pride standard grips, just the black and white grips, one wrap. I don't do anything tricky. I don't do anything fancy on them. Do my own grips. I enjoy doing those. Then I have the 3-iron, which is a 20 degree Strixon ZU, the ZU, ZU for anybody that's in the States, 6.5 utility iron. Love that club. Great club. I've had it for a little while, and I actually just picked up, I got fit into the Titleist UT300, I think it is. I don't have my bag down here with me, but it's the U300 or U500. It definitely is the U500. 3-iron. So I think I'm either going to get my 3-iron bent down my Strixon, or I don't know. I don't play a 5-wood right now, so I'm kind of in between those. I prefer the iron. So both of those are kind of in and out of the bag. Hazardous black Project X, or hazardous black smoke shaft on that one. I can't remember what the degree is now. I think it's 6.5, and
that's similar to what I got on my irons. That's exactly what I have on my Mizunos.
Yeah, so I love that club. It, like I was hitting it today, it is an absolute rocket launcher. I love it. And playing the M6 D-type 3-wood. I love that like that club. Like I can't get away from it. I don't know if I will. I think it's just really, really nice club. And then a friend of mine over at TaylorMade sent me the Sim 2 this year. Sim 2 Max, Ventus 7X, Fujikara, same thing, standard one. I use the Z-Cord grip on my driver, and that's the only one different. And I think it's actually mid-size. So I like that on the driver, but I don't really like it on anything else. So, but yeah, that's the bag. Just trying to think. And I use Titleist Pro V1X, Strixon XV. Kind of rotate back and forth between them. I find the Strixon XV is probably the best ball in golf. It's underrated. Everybody goes for the Titleist, so when they're available, but the Strixon XV, I think you just spin it a little bit more and like around the greens and whatnot. And the launch angle is just a little bit better for me. But yeah, that's pretty much the bag. I don't think I missed anything. I don't know.
You didn't get any of those fancy new Titleist Pro V1Xs that came out this year? Those black dots or whatever they were? Left dots?
No, the like left hash or whatever they were.
Yeah, those things are going for a fortune.
Yeah, I did not play any of those. I've always played the Strixon XV. And I like the Titleist Pro V1X too. Like I kind of, go back and forth between those two. So I don't stray too much from those. Like I think the golf ball is pretty important. I think it's good to kind of find something that you like and stay with it, whatever it may be.
I tried a lot of different golf balls this year, a lot of different ones.
Yeah.
I started with the Strixon soft feel.
Yeah.
Again, just starting out, and then I went to the Strixon Z Star.
Yeah, that's what I played. I played like the XV, which is like the Pro V1X version. So,
right.
Yeah.
So then I happened to land a couple of boxes of Pro V1s.
Nice.
And I did even as a hacker like myself, I did notice it's a different ball flight with that ball.
It is. It's definitely different. And I actually played a little bit with the Tour B RX this year from Bridgestone, and I didn't find like the same feel around the green, but like I could probably like. I just felt like I hit it further than any other ball. Like that's not always the most important thing in golf, as you know. So that was a pretty good golf ball. But I definitely Strixon XV or Strixon Z Star. It's a Z Star XV or the Titleist Pro V1X are kind of what I go with. I've got like a Titleist Players 4 carry bag or something. It's super light. I love that bag. And I collect golf balls too. Like whenever I go to a course, I'll grab one. So that's kind of my I don't have them down in the podcast studio here yet, but they're up in my my wife's office on the wall. So I gotta bring them back down. But yeah, so I'm kind of fascinated by the golf ball. I always like trying different ones. Like I know there's somebody, we had Quantix Golf on, they have a golf ball, Encore Golf. There's so many different companies. I should do like a little ball bracket or something one day and give it a shot. It's cool. It's definitely
I could have voted it all out. I mean, I started with Vice Pro Pluses this year, giving those a go.
Vice, man, that was the next one I thought, Chris. Like Vice golf balls, those things are actually really good.
They weren't bad. I got some custom Vice Pro Pluses done. I kind of did like their ball selector and when we started this whole Mulligans and Hackers thing, and got our logo put on them and just got some done up. I actually really like how they feel. I've found that as the season's gone on and I've got more flexible with my swing. I mean, I played almost 115 rounds this year. So it was like, as I got hitting more and more balls and started getting more distance, that a little bit of a harder ball for me was better. And it was good for my putting too, because I mean, I've always been a relatively decent putter. Like I average probably about 1.9 putts per hole. So I found that over time I've tried some softer balls and I just don't like how they roll or how they jump off the face of my putter. So I've kind of settled in with the into the Pro Vs as well as the Pro Pluses towards the end of the year. So. Yeah,
you should try the Bridgestone, the Tour B XS or RX, whatever it is actually a pretty nice golf ball. It's got a little bit more of a firm feel, but which I didn't love for, I didn't mind it for putting. I just didn't love it for like hitting pitch shots, chip shots, any of that stuff. I just didn't like the feel as much. Like
no control.
I like to spin the ball a lot. Like I spin the ball from like, not just like 100 yards out, but I like to be able to like be creative around the green. Cause like golf, as you guys know, like is infectious, but it can also be like sort of boring. So if you can find different ways to like have fun with the game, I don't mean it's boring, but if you're playing the same course all the time, which I was, like I'm playing like, the same 9 holes all the time, or going out the same course, playing 18 holes. Like I got a course out here that I was at in high school that I probably played like, I don't know, 1,000 times. So it's always nice, like if you're out doing different things, to like look at different undulations in the green and find ways to spin the ball and stuff. So that was where I really liked to be able to play like the Pro V1X or the Strixon XV. Yeah, and the Strixon irons, like you said you play Mizuno's. What do you play?
I play Mizuno irons. I got fitted this year. Before the season, I went and decided to go get fitted for irons. So I got the Fly High hybrids in the 4 and the 5, and then I got the 6 hot metal, and then the 7-2 pitching wedge hot metal pro, and then the gap wedge for the Mizuno's. With the Project X blackout 6.5 shafts.
Nice, yeah. Mizuno has some nice clubs. Like they have some of the I love Strixon clubs now, and like the look of them is very cool. I think the Strixon ZX7s are this year's model of what I have from last year. But the Mizuno line, like the MP20s and stuff, the SELs, they're so nice. They're so nice to look at. So
yeah, they're really nice. And what I noticed is, I mean, after getting fitted, it took me a while to work into the irons, but I mean, Alvin can attest to this, but as my season went on, I got them more dialed in, and they became, they did exactly what I was hoping they would do for my game.
Yeah. Good. That's good. Hey, if they're doing what you want for your game, then, as soon as you improve or whatever it may be, you can kind of go in and get refit. Like I've learned, go ahead.
Me seeing how Chris progressed through the year with his fitted clubs, that's definitely on the to-do list for me this winter.
Yeah, I've been able to connect. Like there is I think they were voted like the top club fitters in North America. TXG's here in Toronto, which is a short drive from me. So being able to connect with those guys, and I've had Mike Marty Stavich on the pod a couple times in the past now. He is a like absolute well of knowledge when it comes to golf clubs. So even just chatting with some of those guys, and they do virtual fittings and stuff too, through some of their guys, but it's such a benefit, right? Like to go in and find what you need, like it can be expensive. Like I understand it can be expensive, but if you love the game and you're, playing and trying to get the most out of your game, like it's great if you can go in and get fit. Like there's obviously immense benefits to it. It would be like, you know, going and like being a carpenter and trying to use like a handsaw, right? And like when you can just use like, you know, your standard skill saw or power saw or whatever it may be, right? Like it's just the idea of using the tools that you need for your game when you're playing, because we're spending a lot of money too to go to the courses. You might as well enjoy it, right? So it's there's a huge benefit. There definitely is. So if you can, and if you have it locally, then check it out. It's because there's, I don't know, so many great brands, right? It's just I played
that's my next thing. I played Wilson D7s this year because I even from when I was younger and I first picked up a club, like when we were moving from Newfoundland to here, I played Wilson and I really wanted a set of Wilson clubs. So last year when we were going to do this, I bought a set of Wilson clubs, just off the shelf type Wilson clubs, KBS shafts, Wilson D7s, the performance enhancing ones.
Okay.
But I did find as
they have like the speed insert in the bottom, right?
Yeah.
I know those ones. Okay. Yeah.
So as my season, when I started and as I got to probably about halfway through the season, my game was really, really progressing well. With my irons and stuff. But as the season started to probably midpoint of the season, my game really started to come apart. And I really wasn't finding that they were doing me any justice. So that was, and again, watching Chris perform with his irons and just start dialing his game in as my game is starting to come off the rails, which is how we switched on the whole leaderboard for our Mulligans and Hackers League this year. I saw the benefits of it. Yeah. And I think that if we're gonna do this again next year, which we are, I think club fitting for me is definitely the brand. Now I'm thinking brands, and I don't know what, because if I'm going to spend that kind of money, like you were saying, it's expensive. I got to be really sure about the brand that I want to go with for the next 5-10 years, right?
Well, brands are always changing though, Alvin. Like things are always changing, right? So, like I got a friend who's like, well, I've got a couple buddies who are TaylorMade guys, and they're, you know, they only want to hit TaylorMade or whatever it may be, right? So I've got like, I don't know, I think I just rifled off 5 or 6 different brands in my bag, right? I think it's important to just be kind of open to different brands and different golf. Like, you know, we're not professional golfers. We don't have a club deal, so you might as well.
I don't need this. I don't need everything in the bag to be the same, because I'm running TaylorMade woods, Wilson irons, and I mean I'm running Kirkland wedges. Yeah. Because again, I'm a budget golfer, so I'm going to go for budget. And when Kirkland came up with their 52, 56, 60, and I didn't have any of that really in my bag other than a 55 Wilson sand wedge and a 52 degree AccuMark, you know, one of those off the retail shelf type 52s. I was like, well, that's perfect to throw in the bag, and I did like them, so I think that'll stay in the bag for a while. But when I'm looking at like a driver, might be something that I'm really going to look at next year. But my 3-wood, I'm running a TaylorMade R9 with a medium flex shaft. I just picked it up locally here, and I don't think that'll have to leave anytime soon, because that was money for me through.
Hey, if you like it, man, like Scotty Scheffler is still playing like a Nike VR Pro 3-wood and stuff, right? So it's sometimes you just kind of fall in love with certain clubs and they don't have to leave the bag. Like I was asking that, like the what's in the bag question quite a bit. So for some guests that are, you know, pressed for time, like we've just probably talked about this for like 20 minutes now. So it can be a lengthy question. I love talking golf clubs, but like some guys just fall in love with clubs and leave it in the bag. Like my putter, like I would never change my putter. I changed the grip a couple times. Like I tried that. I'm looking at it right now. Like I can see the Pingman grip. I can see the Super Stroke grip, like over on my mat. Like I tried the 2.0, the 3.0. But I kind of like the specific type of grip. So you kind of find whatever you want, right? And I actually talked to the guys from Wilson Golf quite a bit. They're from Unionville, which is not too far from where I am, or they're in that area anyway, Markham. And the like staff model clubs that they have look amazing. Like he said that they're in Golf Town. Like you can just go hit them at the standard Golf Town outlets and give them a try. So I would love to just go out and check them out, because I don't know, some of those smaller companies, like I've heard great things about the Wilson Pro. I think it's the Pro staff, like the golf ball. They're like Top Golf Ball. I've heard good things about it, compares well. So I'm not in love with any brand. until they want to start sending me clubs for free. Then maybe if the podcast gets to that level, then I might have a different tune. I might have to ask you guys to go strip this episode, take it down. But I'm not in love with any brand, that's for sure. I will play anything that seems to work for me.
Well, so. I think after having my irons fitted this year and just talking with Alvin the last month or so, because I love putting too, and honestly, that's probably, I mean, that and my increased accuracy with my approach shots is what ended up helping my game really improve at the end of the year. But I've always wanted to do a putter fitting to see exactly what style of putter would really fit me as a golfer. Right. I mean, right now I have the Maltby PTM3 in my bag, and it's like a half mallet style, and I love that putter, but I just think that, you know, I'm interested to see if I go in and get my, you know, different specifications and stuff, if maybe just making a slight change can help improve my putting stroke.
Well, it all depends on like loft and lie, and it depends on like grip too, right? Like what you do for grip and how you kind of set your grip. Like,
well, I'm kind of a mess. I'm a cross-handed golfer, so it's it
can are you?
Oh yeah.
Hey man, what's his name? Callum Davidson is the best player in Canada, or like the best player on PGA Tour, like Mackenzie Tour, PGA Tour Canada, and he's a cross-handed golfer.
Yep.
Yeah,
it
so
works.
Like,
I mean, it doesn't look pretty. I mean,
no, it doesn't
all the time, because it's kind of a seizure looking type swing. But I mean,
it is a full-on seizure.
I mean, even today on the par 5, I mean, it was a little wind assisted, but I smashed one out there with my driver 330 yards. So I mean, it gets the job done. So
yeah, damn, that's
it was one of the first ones I've seen go straight all year, though.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It can be fun sometimes.
Do you find you get like over the top of the ball a little bit? Like, do you have, like...
Yeah, it's sometimes, but I think more for me, early on, like at the beginning of the year, because last year was like the first year that I basically played a lot of golf. Like I didn't play a lot of golf growing up. I'd play like maybe 5 rounds a year, just kind of hanging with my friends, not really taking it seriously. And then last year we started playing more golf, Alvin and I started spending more time at the driving range. Originally I had like an open face issue, which I fixed. And then it became a tempo problem for me. And it was, you know, like when I control my tempo, I can hit the ball really, really well and really straight. If I don't control my tempo, or I get a little sway in my backswing, I have issues. I mean, I've always been a really good iron player, but it's just recently, especially this year, like I've really developed my 3-wood to become a weapon, and my driver towards the end of the season now is starting to get dialed back in. And I mean, when I first started golf, I couldn't chip to save my life. I'd skull every chip across greens. And I mean, that part of my game has really developed along with my putting. So it's just nice that it doesn't look nice, but the nice thing about it is, the one nice thing about it is when you're at the green, you're not getting wristy with your chips, because you can't, because your top wrist is going backwards, right? So you can't like get all flippy with it.
Yeah,
so you can have a little bit more control. I mean, I chipped out today on 16 for birdie.
Let's not talk about your round today, okay?
Hey, you know, though, that old
saying, not talk about your game today, okay?
Yeah.
That old saying goes, there's no pictures on scorecards, though, right? So if it works for you, then that's it. Like, I find where sometimes like things improve in my game, like I improve off the tee. Sometimes my wedge play kind of falls off a little bit. I don't know. My wedge play was always like really good, and it's still good, but I feel like as soon as I start hitting the ball more, there's more pressure on those wedges. So it almost like magnifies your usage of them. So you have more, I guess, body of work to kind of pull from. And so that can be a little tricky at times, because I think today, like even in the colder weather, like I'm not a long iron hitter at all. Like I hit the ball long off the tee, but my tempo of my iron swing is kind of important to me. And so like, I think I hit a 7-iron 165, which in today's world is not that long anymore. So I hit a 52-degree wedge, like 110, something like that. But I find like it's hard to kind of like sometimes dial those in. So if you have any tips, let me know. But I feel like
more experience in golf than us to give us those tips.
It can be tricky though, right? Because it's hard to like, you only have a certain amount of time. You only have so much time. You want to enjoy the game, and like the more you practice, it's great. But sometimes you practice in on one thing that you're like really lacking, then you give up on something else, right? And that's why golf is a forever sport of frustration, and but it's so rewarding, right? Like, look, that's how I met you guys, right? That's how we're chatting right now, and it's kind of just like,
and we've met, we've been in contact with a whole bunch of other people, and some of them are going to come on a podcast, and we're going to do this exact type setup, and that actually blows my mind a little bit that this has even gotten this far.
Well, just so quickly, right? It's insane how fast our social media pages have just like seemingly blown up in no time for two guys from Southern Alberta.
Who doesn't know anything about golf, really?
Right.
Well, you know what? It's all like relative though, like, because there's so many people following your page, following my page, following Bryson's page, Tiger's page, whatever it is, that golf at my level, that golf at your level, Alvin, and that golf at Chris's level, right? So there's going to be a bunch of cross-handed golfers. There's going to be like a lot of guys who can relate to you because they're out west. Like, I know we had Jesse on a couple weeks ago, and like,
he's from here.
And you guys were like, oh, that's great. Like, I know Jesse from this area, and like, there's just going to be people that want to tune in for that reason. Same thing out here. And like, I'm in the podcast space, so I will check out, when you guys post an episode. Don't post on Friday afternoons at like 2:00, guys. Okay. Cause that's my space. All right. but no, like, that's the thing though, is like, that's how you make friendships, and you kind of connect with people. I've been able to go out and golf with people like, Anthony Spagnoli, who is a Score Golf, like he works for, or one of the course rankers. He's played every top 100 course in Canada, and I had him on the podcast like a little over a month ago, and we've got rained out 2 Mondays in a row, but we're trying to plan that I can take a vacation day and get out and play golf. Like, otherwise I would have never met him, if I didn't have a podcast, and if I didn't, I probably more than likely wouldn't have met half the people that I have through golf. So it's kind of cool. It's just nice to we all have the same interest, and it doesn't matter what level we're at. If it does, and if you sense that it does with somebody, then they don't have to come on the podcast, and you don't have to, you don't have to chat with them or whatever it may be. And like, it's just cool. Like,
and I love history. So now that we've kind of gotten into the golf world, there's a YouTube channel, and it's called Masters, and they have the Masters final round from the Masters, from every Masters from 1968 on.
Nice.
I started watching old Masters. Like, I started at 1968, and I'll dive in both feet. I mean, I love it. And just
I've watched the 2003 Masters final round a few times myself, for sure. So obviously that was Mike Weir winning, right? So, and if you guys have ever listened to the intro, like in the first, we've got a great intro song from his name's Rory McIlroy. So I don't know if you guys follow that page, but he lives down in Texas, and it's like Rory McIlroy. His name's Rory McIlroy. He like golfs about, or raps about golf, and like, I talked to him a while ago. He came on the podcast. He's like a comedian, right? So it's he's so funny. If you guys haven't checked out his page, go and check it out, or anybody that's listening. And he let us use his music for the podcast, which was awesome. So, and then of course I had to snip the part like a little bit in. I had to do a little bit of work. I'm not a great audio editor, but I did what I could to get the Mike Weir has won the green jacket, or the green jacket's going north of the border. I had to get that in the intro. So yeah, definitely we'll check out the Masters page though. 2003 is a big year for us. So always has been, always will be. So yeah.
I still like checking him out on the Champions Tour too.
Yeah, man, he's playing good right now. He's playing so good, right? So got to get him on one day. Trying. I'm working. So if he's listening by chance, we got to get Mike Weir's on the podcast. But yeah, it's been cool. Like, you just connect with so many different people, and like, if you guys have things set up, that's great. Like, I'm always up for coming on and chatting. Like, if you guys are ever doing like a what's in the bag feature or an update or any of that kind of stuff, or yeah.
What's your history, Mac, in golf? Like, Alvin was telling me that you caddied a little bit, maybe on the Canadian Tour.
Yeah, so that was just like a short-term thing, but it seems like next year I'll be able to get out, actually with a guy who's out in Vancouver. So when he makes his Toronto stop, I'll probably hop on the bag for him, because I found it to be like super fascinating. Cool. There was like a pro from the town that I live in, and he said that he was looking for a little help on the one weekend or whatever it was. So I just reached out to him. He had been on the podcast in the past, and I said, like, I have some experience, and he nicely said, okay, like, let's do it. I didn't, like, I had his yardages, stuff like that. Like, I had the green book and stuff, but it's not like I was like, hey, like, you should hit a putt this way or anything. Like, I understood, I stayed in my lane and kind of understood that. And And the idea of the caddy is just to be there for support, right? And kind of make sure he's drinking water if it's hot, and like, you know, kind of staying. And by the end of the Sunday, we kind of talked about a couple things about some shot shapes and stuff like that. So we got a little bit more involved. But with those guys, like, it's hard because they're traveling, trying to grind out as much as they can, and they're often carrying their own bag, or, you know, they can push if they're on their own. But if you have somebody carrying your bag, like, they can't push it for you, and you can't have people close to you then, right? So it's tough for them, man. It's a grind. And those guys who are doing well on those tours, and a couple of them still on the, like, I know Brennan, I think it's Brennan Steele, won a couple events this year, and like, he's an amateur, so he doesn't collect any of that money. He's still traveling to play, right? So he plays for Team Canada. But it's tough on those guys. But like Tony Finau, Joel Damon, those guys are on the Canadian tour, so, and they're doing well now. But yeah, my background as far as caddying goes, it's not all that extensive, but I hope to do more because it was a lot of fun. I definitely would like to do more. But I played like competitive golf when I was younger. Like, I'm over here in Ontario, played some high school golf. Had a bit of success in high school golf, loved the competitive nature, but you kind of have to like make that choice with hockey or golf, right? And I probably should have chose golf, but you know, I'm like 5'10" and I'm a goalie, and I chose hockey at the time to focus my time on. Started playing a lot in the summer, and not that I didn't play golf. It's just, that's probably what I should have sunk my time into in the winter, like going to simulators and stuff like that, versus, you know, playing hockey. Because I don't know, I grew up in like the Ben Bishop era where everybody's like 6'5".